Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Yep. So I had to shut off all my audio on both channels because I'm watching on both channels. We got Top Dog here and we got James Epperson. How about that shit?
Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year. And I remember on the 13th of December, I said, I'll be back in a day. And then I went happily to get surgery. And I found out that abdominal surgery is no fucking treat. It is horrible. Don't ever do that out there, kids. Don't do drugs and don't do abdominal surgery, ever. Just accept your fate. Just don't do it. Anyway, where are we here? PTFS, okay. So Bernardo Kastrup again and Donald Hoffman. Now, Bernardo Kastrup believes that there's a universal consciousness that basically consciousizes the universe, right, and creates it, and that we are individual, disassociated personalities within its consciousness. And when we look at our neurons, what we're actually seeing is our experience. We're not really seeing neurons. Neurons are what experience looks like. And now Donald Hoffman did a whole bunch of highfalutin mathematics, and he proved that evolution would develop in such a way that it would be extremely improbable that we would see reality for what it is. And now somebody did a paper, I didn't link that paper, but I'll find it. Somebody did a paper against Hoffman and said, yeah, that might be true, that, we could evolve to represent reality in some strange manner that doesn't really show us reality. But then if the environment changed a little bit, we'd go extinct almost immediately. And so they proved that his evolution theory and all his highfalutin mathematics is bullshit. And then there's some other panpsychists out there, and I just wanted to address them first of all. Let me see if I can show this. Whoops, I don't know what the hell I'm showing. PDFS? Something's wrong. Something's horribly wrong. I don't understand what's horribly wrong. Let's see here. Oh, there it is. Okay. I gotta put this up. Let me see if I can make that bigger. Now, the interesting thing is that, okay, creationism, first of all, they don't understand evolution. Basically, they'll say that evolution can't explain life, right? And then they'll strawman evolution, and they fail to understand evolution, and then they go ahead and say bad things about people that believe in evolution, like we don't have any
evil. It's evolution.
Yeah, right. Okay. But now we got this whole other group of people, the Donald Hoffmans and the Bernardo Kastrups, and they say dualism. They believe in fake monism, which is, they call it monism, but it's actually just dualism with a different cloak, wolf in sheep's clothing. And they say physicalism can't explain consciousness, just like evolution can't explain life. And then they strawman physicalism, and they don't understand the extension where you would logically go if you extend physicalism and naturalism. Then they say bad things about people that believe in physicalism. It sounds like a real parallel to me. And then they go out here and they talk about naive worldviews, and you just, your mind is just so small if you're a physicalist or a scientist or whatever. You just can't see the big picture. And then
What do you, what's your opinion on the word worldview? I have issues with it. I mean,
I have issues with worldview. Yeah.
isn't worldview disconnecting yourself from reality?
Kind of.
Just
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
I don't like the world, so I'm going to have a worldview.
Yeah. Yeah. That gets to epistemology, which is coming up here. But anyway, after they talk about naive, how naive we are, us physicalists and scientists, then they'll make man's characteristics so special that somehow consciousness and mind create the whole fucking universe, right? But now they got a problem, right? They don't sound very humble. So then they make man small again by creating a God who's so much greater than us, or a universe that's so much greater than us. And so they have this split view where they believe that we are the universe, and yet they'll say, "Oh no, but you're really just a humble little part of it," right? Because we have universal consciousness, or if you're Kastrup, or if you're creationist, we have God, who makes man small again. So they make man big, and then they make man small again. So they're constantly overestimating consciousness, and then trying to bring us back into the humble picture again. So that's kind of what they're doing. So that's sort of a diagram of what these guys are doing.
And that video, that one I shared with you in the message the other day, that's basically what he was saying, that UFOs and everything are. They're just things that we are making up in our minds, just like people made up things in the past, but that also somehow makes them real because we're making them up in our minds.
Yeah.
So the UFOs are only real because people want UFOs to be in the sky, basically.
Holy shit.
It's really hard to follow what he was saying, but I listened to it again, and that's basically it, that if you just imagine it, then it is.
I made a New Year's resolution to watch my cat, so I'll drift off occasionally, but Azo had 4 abdominal surgeries for tumors. Shit. Anyway, yeah, moving the goalposts. Things we make up in our minds to, show up on radar. Yeah, right. Well, there you go. I don't know.
Birds. They're birds.
Yeah, they're birds. Whatever. So then the other thing is there's this big myth that science has not explained consciousness yet. And they keep perpetrating that. Now, I found and I linked it in the description. My goodness. Why do you do this to me, Apple? Stop it. Stop doing it. Oh my God, it did it again. You son of a bitch. Oh, let's see if I can make this. Okay. Oh my goodness. I have a little technical issues here.
It happens.
Yeah, I lost my whole screen. I have no idea where it went. Oh, there it is. Okay, the myth that consciousness is not explained or explainable. And that's one of the big things now. Now, there's this lecture by by Matt McCormick, professor in philosophy at CSUS. I think that's the California State University of Sacramento. And he did a wonderful 34-part lecture on philosophy of the mind. And that's the first thing that he addresses, is that, hey, they keep saying that, but we actually know a great deal about consciousness that we've learned in the last 50 years. Particularly in the last 10, 20 years, we've uncovered a lot about the brain. We've mapped it out. We know about all the different systems in the brain: awareness, working memory, long-term memory, how we track things, and there are a couple really good theories of consciousness that he gets to in the end of his lectures. And anybody that is really interested in this topic should watch those 34 lectures. It'll give you the whole overview. You'll get Dennett, you'll get the Chalmers, and the Panpsychists, and all the other crazies. So that's kind of what I wanted to address in this little talk, and we'll watch a little Kastrup too on the way. So what do you think, Dave? Sounds like a plan.
Good to me.
Scott is driving from somewhere to Texas, so I don't think he's going to be around. He might be around. Who knows? I don't know if he probably doesn't have notifications turned on. Oh, let me see. I'm going to send him a message. Want to hear about his trip?
He did send me a picture of some Bigfoot stuff in the store that he saw.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty cool.
That was cool.
Yeah. Pretty awesome. Anyway, okay. Where's Mr. I kind of want to. I shouldn't call him cat shit, should I? Not the way it's. But it keeps coming up.
Not while he's driving, at least.
No, I mean not Scott. I mean Kastrup. Cat shit. Oh. Kastrup. That's where my mind keeps going. I don't know why.
My bad. I thought you were ragging on Scott.
No. I got other names for Scott.
That's what I was wondering, if you had a new name.
Yeah, new names. Okay, The Incoherence of Mainstream Physicalism by Kastrup. This is one.
Yeah, he's cat shit. You could call him.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he has a lot of points where I kind of agree with him and parallel with him. Because what he is representing at the end of the day is physicalism, but he just doesn't seem to know it. He thinks it's some spooky woo thing that he wraps around it. But when he talks about it, almost everything that he comes up with is where you get with physicalism and naturalism if you extend it to the logical conclusion, right? That there is no self really. Meaning is all within our social circles and our families and whatever. And anyway, Nitty, hi Nitty, and let's see who else we got. Blaster Master 80 Orge. Holy shit, Orge! Your mom believes in physicalism. You make a mom joke.
Blaster believes in UFOs. Hey, I played with the Ouija board and everything that Hugh Ross told me. I ain't seen no UFOs.
Nope, we're not getting it.
Until I see one.
My parents saw a lightning ball land in the field when I was 7 years old, and they talked about it. And I'm pretty sure it was a lightning ball. It was during a thunderstorm, a heavy thunderstorm, and they saw a ball of light come and hover by a tree, and then set down in the field and then disappear. And those
ball lightning can explain some of the phenomena.
Yep. Anyway, okay, I'm going to play a few clips here.
It can be something that is for us literally unimaginable and inconceivable, because we can only conceive and visualize things that are in some way commensurable with the paradigm of perception. Perception feeds our imagination.
He's talking about what the universe really is, right? And he's talking about how unimaginable it is. And yeah, because I don't think it's just 4 dimensions. I think it's more than that. And yeah, we have a hard time grasping physics, what modern physics is saying.
Our ability to conceive and visualize things. So whatever is incommensurable with the paradigm of perception is in principle inconceivable to us. So we are immersed and living in a literally mysterious and inconceivable world. And what we see and hear, what we perceive in general, is just, the dials in our dashboard conveying the information we need to survive and to maintain our structural and dynamical integrity despite the second law of thermodynamics. So all of this has been covered in part 1. I will be linking.
Okay. So what he's saying there, he's got this idea that, our perception of the world is this dashboard that we're looking at, right? And that's immediately wrong. And Matt McCormick, the philosophy of mind lecture I told you about, spends a good deal of time dispelling that bullshit. That there's a homunculus inside of us that's viewing this dashboard that is our perception. And this is called representationalism. In other words, the idea that we create, and a lot of physicalists believe this, that we create, like our neurons somehow create something inside our mind and that we see, right? Well, who the fuck sees it? There's only neurons in our mind. There's nothing in there looking at the neurons or the representations. And Daniel Dennett explains that you get into an infinite regress. Because if the homunculus is made out of neurons, then obviously that's a representation, and there's another homunculus inside looking at him, and on, to infinity. That isn't what we're doing, what our brains are doing. The important thing, I think, to note, let's see if I can do this. What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Oh, all right, there we are. The important thing to note about our minds and about, come on, where is it? There it is. Apple's magnetic. Okay, so basically inside our minds, the idea that there's this little picture that's represented, and there's this little eyeball here that's looking at the picture. Okay, that's called representationalism, right? We're just gonna, that's bullshit. Not what happens. Okay, we are organisms, and we're kind of fuzzy at the boundaries, right? And there are objects out in the world that we're looking that basically we are related to, and we are getting information from. There's actually light. I lost Dave. Oh no, you're there. Okay, I lost your picture.
No, I was just typing, and I don't like to look.
Oh, okay.
Oh, duh, when I'm typing.
Anyway, there is an interaction going on. It's not a representation. It's an interaction. So there's a constant interaction between us, and we're physical, and the world. And that's what our consciousness is this constant interaction, this constant inclusion of everything around us, because we are not isolated little organisms. We're very fuzzy here, and we have a lot of information exchanging both ways. And not only that, but we can reach out and we can grab that square and we can move it. So there's this constant interaction that we do with the world. And that is against representationalism. That is, and that's part of the straw manning of physicalism, that we believe that there is a representation inside of our brain of the world around us. And this is not the case. Okay. Another clip here, I think.
Didn't he also say something like, you can't understand what's actually going on in the universe, but isn't he trying to understand what's actually going on in the universe?
Right. Yeah, he's trying to create another worldview, another metaphysical story, that would be equivalent to the metaphysical story we have. And if you look at what we're doing, well, we'll get into the epistemology part of it. There's another story that includes dark matter and how galaxies really form, because our models were obviously wrong about that. James Webb kind of showed us that our models are a little bit off. There's the what happened at and around the Big Bang. There's what the cosmos is completely. I mean, we can't get our minds around that. We will one day with mathematics, but it isn't going to be intuitive to us. And so he's correct there. But then he's saying, oh, but I have the answer. Everything is like a human with a mind, And it just kind of drives me crazy.
And forms or the contours of the things in the world.
Now he's talking about Platonism, basically the idea that we're seeing shadows on the wall of the cave, and it's not reality at all, that there's a lot more to it. Well, yeah, got a point there, but they take it a lot.
They appear on the screen of perception really.
There he is, the screen of perception. You see, that's representationalism. There is no screen of perception in neuroscience today. That isn't what we think.
We are the forms of the world, as the world is in and of itself. So, although physicalism will grant that the colors we see, they are qualities, and therefore they are generated by our brains inside our skull, really out there are no colors. There are no.
That's bullshit. Okay, there really are colors. There really are photons of certain wavelengths reflecting off of things that are color. And we do not have a representation inside of our minds. We're in an it's called inactive. Basically, we have an inactive relationship with the things around us. The photons are coming in and they're basically interacting with our minds in such a way that we Platonism, interacting with our minds in such a way that we have this experience, and that's what it is.
Qualities. There are only electromagnetic vibrations of certain frequencies, but they do not have the quality of redness or blueness or whiteness and so forth.
Why not? Why don't they? There's a whole spectrum out there of colors. Why is he saying that doesn't have any quality? And this is he's kind of leading us down a little rabbit hole here. What do you think of all that, Dave? You understand what I'm saying about representationalism?
Yep.
That there is no screen inside of our head where we're representing things and then viewing them, and that's important.
So, that's my issue. He seems to be going both ways. He wants to say that these things are real, but they're not real, but they only become real if you want to make them real.
I don't know.
You know, he kind of goes this way and that. It's always hard to follow what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because he seems to want to be going both ways. Like I was just saying, that, well, we can't understand this. And it's like, but isn't that what you're trying to do? You know, he goes both ways, and he's very confusing.
Yeah, Leo points out that he's basically strawmanning physicalism with this idea of assuming that illusionism is some default materialist position, which is obviously false.
Is there somebody that he's just got it in for, that he just wants to? He's just trying to just take the antagonistic side because of
they will.
He doesn't like.
Yeah, basically 99% of scientists is what he's fighting against, and 99% of other philosophers. He makes a point of saying that most philosophers these days, the majority are physicalists, they're not dualists. They accept physicalism. And he's saying, oh, we've been bamboozled by our education system and the professors, because the professors told us this, right? I should get that kitty thing off there. Hang on a second. Where am I going? Oh, I can't find it. I cannot find it. Oh, captions. Okay.
No comment, asshole.
Yeah, no comment on that. Okay.
But they do, don't they? They're always crashing into Earth. They traverse the universe. They got to crash into Earth. But see, that's because we want them to crash into Earth, according to Mike's friend here.
Take what you're... Okay. Kellecia 789. You aren't Kellecia from Rational Skepticism, are you? I think we went through this before. Take what your senses present to you with a grain of salt. Oh, of course. But now the interesting thing about epistemology, when we have this relationship with the world, is that we don't get this idea from some, we don't walk into a room as a toddler for the first time and see shapes and say, "Oh, that's the world. I now see squares." No, that isn't how we develop our knowledge of the world. We develop our knowledge of the world by flailing our hands around, by crawling, by moving, by licking, by sucking, by fucking, you know, hitting on things. And this developmental aspect is another really important thing. That's how we acquire our epistemology. And when you get to science, okay, Kastrup is saying, oh, the objects don't really exist out there in the world as like a square, right? Or like if you see a cube in the room, it doesn't really exist out there. Space time is just an illusion. It's naive to think that it's real. Well, we can take a measure, a ruler or a rule, and stretch it from us to that object, and we take a certain measurement. Then we move a little bit to the left, and we can measure it again. And with mathematics, we can make a pretty goddamn good estimate of where things are in time and space, and it always works. It always works. And we can walk over there and touch it, lick it, punch it.
Does he think we're like on a grid? So like if I think something, you think it? Or is there a bigger consciousness that's thinking it, and that's why you and I are thinking?
That's the second. Yeah, the second. Yeah. Okay. Part. He believes that there's a universal consciousness and we are just little pieces of it. Just like physicalists would say there's a universal physicality and we are each little pieces of that physicality. So
he wouldn't agree with any free will or anything like
that. He doesn't believe in free will either. So he believes in determinism. Yeah. That's one of the places where he differs from a lot of other woo people. Let's see. Okay. Have I played this part yet?
So materialism grants that these qualities are only inside our head, but it goes ahead and says that the abstract geometrical relationships of the world do correspond to the contours we see on the screen of perception. So there is a very important sense, very major sense, in which physicalism says that, well, the world is actually largely the way it presents itself on the screen of perception, because the forms...
Okay, there is no screen of perception, and yes, physicalism does say that the cube in the corner of the room is actually there. It's as real with a lowercase r as it needs to be. It's true enough that the cube is there. Even if there's some really strange thing going on with quantum particles, it's like, okay, the cube is made of atoms, right? And atoms are mostly space. So, we think it's solid, but it's not. Bullshit. It's solid because you are not a fucking neutrino. You can't go through that cube, right? So it's all about this relationship that we have with stuff in the universe. And we don't just get this idea because we saw it and we just naively assumed it was real. No, we can test it a million different ways. You and I, okay, are 3 or 4 states apart, but you and I could arrange to meet for lunch tomorrow afternoon, and you would actually show up at the Starbucks on 98th and Lyndale, and we'd look at each other, and it's like, I'd recognize you and you'd recognize me. We can do that sort of stuff. We have, there's this whole network of measurements that we use to determine that the world is actually fucking 4D space and time. And these guys are constantly saying, oh, no, that's naive. Well, if you can measure it in a million different ways and come up with the same information, if it coheres, then it ain't so naive. So
that's why I was asking you before, what his theology is. It doesn't seem to be clear. And by the way, if you're trying to show the video, it's not showing. You still got your paper up there.
Oh, I do. How did I do that? There ain't much to see here. Physicalism assumes that the contours we represent are the true forms of the world, as it is in itself. What else do I have? I don't want to go too far with this. We've been going 30 minutes, and I don't want to do too much at one time. So I just want to address this one thing, and that is this myth that science knows nothing about consciousness. And the weird thing is that when philosophers talk about consciousness, they'll say it's what it's like to be me, or what it's like to see the color red. And they never talk about it in any detail at all. They just go on to start talking about their woo bullshit, right? But now physicalists, on the other hand, when they have theories, they will talk about, okay, what you see, and they test a bunch of people, and they find out about things like blind sight and what is it? Hemispherical neglect, where one side of your brain doesn't see things, and all of this stuff. And they have all this empirical evidence, and then they go inside your brain. And we have a connectome right now that consists of 400 terabytes of data that we have on the brain and on the tissues in the brain. And they'll talk about all the different systems, and they'll talk about consciousness as being more than just what it is like to see the color red. They'll talk about basically working memory and things, and they'll talk about things that are eligible to become part of working memory. And they'll talk about your experiences as you're driving your car and you're not paying attention, and all of this stuff. And they have all of these systems in the brain that they've mapped out extensively. And we know a hell of a lot more about consciousness than the philosophers want to talk about. Now, what the philosophers should be talking about is phenomenalism, which is basically, what is this landscape that we experience every day? What are these, all this stuff that we run into on a daily basis and make sense? And when you start studying the neuroscience, it is completely congruent with what you experience on a daily basis. And it just makes a lot of sense. So the myth that we have not explained consciousness, or that we can't, is bullshit. We are very, very close. And we're very close to, if the AI people knew a little bit more about biology and neuroscience, they would be able to create intelligent animals right now, intelligent machines. So anyway.
But I think you said they almost using arguments like creationists do, and that's what it is. It's kind of a God of the gaps. I think I said that before when we look at videos. And that's the same thing. Well, you don't know everything about consciousness, so you don't know anything.
Yeah.
It's the same if you don't know everything about evolution or everything about climate change, whatever it is. That's a bad argument, because you can know a lot of parts about it and understand them very well. Even if there's some unknowns you still got to figure out. So it's like you said, it's like a creationist argument. That's why I'm wondering if he's just not just trying to use a theological argument and twist it up in a bunch of big words like maybe like a Deepak or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, Kastrup and the Essentia Foundation are, I think they're all making money on books, and and they want to promote a better world, and good on them. The humanism aspect of what they're doing is great, because they're trying to tell us that we're all part of the world and we're part of the universe, and and we should behave accordingly. But so do Buddhists. They say the same thing. So anyway, enough of that for the day. Anybody who's not interested in just our channel can probably quit watching right now, and we'll get to a little more Kastrup on another day, hopefully soon. Hopefully I'll be better. Okay, my New Year's resolution is...
You've got me hooked watching. Like I said, I saw the video come up the other day.
Yeah.
So I've got to watch what he's got to say. And yeah, it was the Q&A part was my favorite part, because he was directly answering things without answering them. The same thing that he's saying about everything else was his answer to UFOs. Well, they're there because we think they're there, but they're only real because we think they're there. But that makes them real. That's why you can pick them up on radar. But they're only there because they're a projection of what we want in the sky. The same thing people have done all through time, and now it's just UFOs because it's the 21st century. Where back in the past it was a flying dragon.
You're talking about this video, right? The New World View to explain it all.
Where he's talking with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the cat trees. Yep, that's the one.
Yep, I'll put that in the description as well.
Yeah, if you don't want to watch the whole thing, watch the second half. That's like where they're taking email questions. That's the part I like.
He's putting out a lot. He's making a lot of public appearances, putting out a lot of video. I think him and Rupert Sheldrake. I don't know if you know Rupert Sheldrake. He's another crazy motherfucker. Oh shit! It's brother, my brother. Sorry, brother, can't talk to you right now. Anyway, yeah, and so what's happening on your channel, Dave?
Oh, there's always something going to be happening.
What are you doing next? Oh, you're going to do microscope, right? You're going to do microscope for us.
Yep, I've got I got a microscope from Santa, so well, I was already playing around with it and looking at my pond water.
Yeah.
But I had to get the whatnots so I can get my camera on it because it's got the slot on it to put a camera on it. So I get the camera all set up and then I can share some pictures.
You got all that figured out so you can do that now?
No, I was thinking about playing with it, but then somebody wanted to stream today. So.
Who the hell? What an asshole. Always interrupting you, you know? Yeah. Yeah, I'm dying to see your camera. Maybe we should do a Zoom call when you get it set up so that you can stream it. I don't know if you got you got OBS, right?
I downloaded OBS and I've got another viewer too, specifically doing the telescope camera. So I don't know if it works the same for the microscope. I haven't played with it yet. I got a bunch of little boxes and I got the little adapter I needed.
I got to get my camera set up on this again. I disconnected it for some reason, this microscope. This is pretty good as far as doing, you know, above the fold kind of stuff. And I can do the camera with it.
I was telling Mike that start on the first lens and like a muscle tissue slide. I got some slides to look at. And it's just, you know, you see the pink and you see the fibers a little bit. But when you start clicking around and it goes up to the 2000 magnification or whatever it is.
I'm trying to get my camera. Okay.
You can, yeah, it starts to show right down to the little, basically like the cells that are making up the muscle.
So here's my camera. It doesn't have threads on it. You just stick it in. I don't know if you can see.
Yep.
Will that work on that microscope?
That's basically what, yeah. That's
okay.
It looks like it's the right size. It's got to be like a 1 inch or whatever the millimeters are.
The thing is, that camera is not as good as the microscope, and it really and I looked around and I tried to find a better quality camera and I couldn't. But if you ever find a really good quality camera,
mine comes with a lens that goes in the slot, and then you attach the camera on top of the lens.
Okay. Oh.
It does come with a Barlow lens. But what I've found out is the telescope people and the microscope people have everything in different sizes by like a 1/4 inch.
Right.
So, yeah, they've kind of
forced you.
Yeah, they force you to buy out their stuff and the other because it's not the same size.
Yep.
Yeah, that's something I want to do. Yeah, because what got me started was there was a video out where this guy went and found some tardigrades in his yard, which are the little water bears.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I want to find some tardigrades in my yard. And he was looking in the moss, the lichen type moss.
Right.
And he said they live in there. And I see that every once in a while on some old wood or whatever. So that's what got me started. So I got a hold of Santa and I said, Dave wants a microscope. And guy said, you want at least 2,000. So the one I got says it goes from 2,000 to 4,000 because you can double it.
Yeah, with an oil immersion. But the water bears, for every one of us on the earth, every human, there are 2 million water bears. So
they're just so neat. And,
there's a lot of them.
So that's my goal anyway. I want to do some snooping and see if I can't spot one, because that would be really neat. So that's going to be my alien hunt, because they are very alien-like. If something like that can exist in all the conditions it can exist, then there just might be something like a tardigrade on another planet. And Blaster's talking about UFOs and everything, and I don't doubt there's life in the universe. It seems that as soon as the Earth had liquid water, we had life there. So it seems like the ingredients are there. You just need the right conditions to set it off. But I have a problem with aliens flying around the universe, avoiding black holes and stars and everything, and managing to go faster
than the
speed of light,
right.
or warp space and time, and then they crash right into Earth.
Yeah.
Okay. All over the place. They're crashing. So I'm very skeptical that they couldn't avoid crashing into Earth after they traversed the universe. That's one of my biggest problems with UFOs. They seem to have the worst pilots ever. And if they don't want to be spotted, they're not doing a very good job either, because if you're flying around in the sky, you're going to be spotted. You don't even need radar or anything else. So.
Deconverted.
Well, maybe after multiple generations of giving birth and stuff, because they have to do that, to get from one place to another across the huge universe. Maybe they're just get degraded genetically, and that's just the best they can deal with.
Genetic entropy, that would be it. Yeah. So the late Scott Duke. Hey, you're back home?
Oh, am I dead?
Well,
or am I just late?
I don't know. Mike was calling you names earlier.
He was.
I was calling Kastrup. That's it. Anyway, so there's a store that I want to go to because they have tea in it, and I also want to check it out, but now my ex-wife wants to go to it. It's called the Crystal Rock or something, or the Crystal Cave or some goddamn thing. And you walk in there, and they have tarot cards, and then they have a crystal for arthritis, and they have a crystal for your left toe if it has a callus on it, and they have all these special things. And then if you buy something, they have a little Zen gong that they start ringing when they ring you up. And I suggested that when I opened the door, the woo was going to blow me down into the parking lot. And Scott came up with the name Woo-Mart. Fucking Woo-Mart. I love it. My sons love that too. I told them about it last night.
I'm glad. I'm glad it was a hit.
It was a hit, man. It was a hit.
You need to don your love beads and.
Yeah. Got together with my kids last night, and we watched Jack Reacher 4 episodes, and we ate a bunch of chips, eggnog pie, and we had fajitas, and yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty good evening. Pretty awesome. Did you had a good time with your family?
I did. It was great. It was just me, my older brother, and my older sister,
Yes.
and it was a good time. I mean, it was kind of quiet. Like it's like pulling teeth to get any personal information out of my brother.
Yeah.
So we did spend some time trying to do that, but at some point we just kind of raised our hands up in the air and went, "Oh well, we tried." And then we tried to do a review after he left. Okay, now what new information did we get out of him?
Right.
And it really wasn't much. It was unimpressive how much self-disclosure my brother is willing to do.
Yeah. My older brother, I don't think he's capable of commenting on what it's like to be him.
Yeah.
It, he, he can tell you that he went bowling or he did this or he did that, but and yeah, he doesn't volunteer a lot either. So maybe I don't know. Maybe it's the era that they. Well, I guess I would be older. I'm older than your older brother, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Families are cool. Fortunately, most of my relatives are extremely willing to share any fucking thing. In fact, yeah, a little too much sharing.
Right. I am aware of the notion of oversharing. That's just not a
Oversharing.
problem with our little branch of
Yeah.
the tree.
Yep.
I miss my brother, even though we didn't always see eye to eye, and I wasn't real close with him. I still miss him.
I think Maya has it right.
Yeah, I've often wondered about what his activities were. He brought this spotting scope to my sister's house because he just wanted to, look at the terrain and the hills and the mountains, because he lives in Kansas where they have none of that. But I kept thinking, why do you have such a big fancy spotting scope? Are you like, teamed up with some assassin somewhere? What's going on? He just laughed.
Yeah.
He's got a neighbor somewhere getting frisky outside.
Maybe so. That would be good to know, though.
Some moonlight dancing.
So Scott, were you listening at the beginning of the broadcast?
No, I just got in and spent enough time to get some stuff out of my suitcase and to let the dogs out to relieve themselves and everything.
Yeah.
So I basically opened up while you were talking about the some of the Kastrup silliness, and you were going over the fact that that science does go a long way to explain consciousness, and that Kastrup's claim that it doesn't. I know Dave did talk about the if it doesn't explain everything, it doesn't explain anything, and I caught that. Of course,
the parallels here that I made between creationism and the dualists and the panpsychists and all of that.
Have you studied the Bernard Kastrupism enough? Maybe it's just Kastrupsism, or as in catastrophe, but to know that the thing, his explanations, how do they compare to what we know of as actual explanations? Are his explanations any better than not explaining anything?
Well, he claims it's really parsimonious, but the last time Chris Moore was on and he said I lost him when I tried to explain what Kastrup was saying, because I'm lost when I try to figure out what the hell Kastrup is saying.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any goddamn sense.
He goes both. I said he goes both ways, and then he's up the middle, and then I say he says things that sound very theological, but then he doesn't really just say God did it either. So
yeah. So
parsimony does not equal truth, or parsimony does not equal reality. It's just we prefer the most parsimonious explanation, but it still has to be borne out under a set of criteria, and the one that seems to work the most is empirical, materialistic, physicalistic kind of explanations. And where has he demonstrated that he explains things, or his tribe or his cult explains things any better than
right?
You make assertions, and you say, "Oh, look, there's only one or two parts." Okay, am I back? It just says I just lost my connection.
Yeah,
okay.
You were. Yeah. So
but anyway, there's a whole idea of, is there any critical or critical facility or verification applied to the analytical idealist position that, as Kastrup likes to call it.
Well, so he believes there's like this universal consciousness, right? So it's like so there's this universal consciousness that is thinking everything. That basically everything. Oh shit! I didn't want to do that. I wanted the other thing. So basically, this whole universal consciousness creates all of reality, and it's all conscious. So it's just experience. There are no things. There's no matter. There's no space time. None of that. And then, so the universal consciousness is imagining the cube. So it creates the cube by having an experience of it, right? And then us three, okay, I have James here. I'm sorry there. James was on last time. So us three are disassociated personalities within the universal mind. It's like we're split personalities. And we share. So when we look at the cube, what we're doing is we're seeing the same thing that the universal consciousness is. It's just a perception. It's just mind stuff. There's nothing else that exists. And the reason that we're disassociated personalities is because we have brains, right? And our brains are filters that cut out the greater reality. So our brains are our brains don't actually do anything other than filter out little bits of reality. And now and then the other thing he says, which is really astounding, he said, if we observe ourselves observing the cube, it will look like neurons to us, which is like, what the fuck are you saying? He calls that parsimonious. But anyway, I do not want to straw man his views, but he has something in mind, and I'll be goddamned if I can get to it. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm working on it, and we will continue to work on Kastrup until we figure it out.
That's where it's confusing again, because it's almost like we're in a video game or whatever, and it's all determined by something. But at the same time, we can also think of something that could appear in the video game because we're thinking of it, like what he was talking about with the UFOs, that they only show up because we're thinking about it.
Right.
But then how was it determined if we are the ones that are seeing it? And then because we see it, other people see it too. Because somehow it becomes material, but it doesn't make any sense that we, could step outside of the video game and change the line of code to add in a UFO. That's where I get disconnected from where it's going.
Well, the universal mind sees the cube, like we see the cube from our different perspectives, right? But the uni-mind, we'll call it the uni-mind, sees it from all different sides at once. Basically, as an infinite number of perspectives the uni-mind has on the cube, right? Because you can walk around it, and if you walk around it, you're going to have 500 different perspectives on that cube. So the uni-mind has all of those at once. And the uni-mind creates space-time in the cube. And in a way, that isn't too far off from what real physicalism would say. That basically there's this space-time thing that's being projected from some higher dimensional, maybe holographically or mathematically or whatever, that basically is creating this cube, the whole thing at once. And we are just little pieces inside. But the thing where Kastrup gets it wrong is he wants to have this dualism that we are experience, and at the same time we're organisms inside of the universe that the cube is imagining. And I'm fucking lost, man. And Chris Moore, if you're here, if you were lost, it's because I'm lost too when it comes to what does Kastrup really think. Like when he gets up and goes in the bathroom and unzips his fly, how in the fuck does he do that with the crazy ass theory of reality that he has, right? It's like, okay, the universal mind is imagining my zipper and imagining my dick and imagining that I have this feeling of going to the bathroom. What the fuck is that in terms of, I don't know.
But you're only really going to the bathroom because you think you're going to the bathroom.
Yeah, so everybody that has to go.
And I'm only going to the bathroom because you think that I can go to the bathroom.
Right.
That's where he loses me is how you can project yourself back into this, so-called video game that's already determined.
Well,
right.
Why doesn't every 13, 14, 15-year-old boy in the world get the hottest, most gorgeous girlfriend they can think of? Because all through 13, 14, 15-year-old, those years, they're thinking of nothing but the hottest, most beautiful model, sexiest model they could come up with.
Well, it's
so
because
why doesn't that happen?
Because their brains are filtering out all those really good-looking girls, and that's why they're uncels or whatever, or incels, yeah. So, but the thing is, think about it now. There's more than just looking at cubes, right? There's a feeling of having to go pee, right?
Okay, that's the feeling I got several times during my trip back.
Right. Multiply that times 8 billion. So the universal mind has 8 billion sensations that it has to pee 4 times a day or 6 times a day. It must really suck to be the universal mind, right?
And what if you forgot to think about going to the bathroom?
Right.
Then everybody else would also forget to go to the bathroom. It could get messy.
Kastrup gets out of that because he always says the universal mind keeps track of all the objects and where they are. The universal mind's doing all the lifting. Okay? So the universal mind has to go pee 8 billion times, and you're just one of those little filtered times where you have to pee. So, I mean, what do they ever talk about the quality of having to pee? The quality of having to... They always talk about the color red and the blue sky. Well, what about the quality of having... How about having horrible stomach cramps after abdominal surgery?
That's the thing. It's
where'd you get that story from?
I don't know where I got that from.
Yeah, if you're gonna write a video game, why would you include having to eat or go to the bathroom?
Right.
It's like when I talked about with the creationist arguments that, look at this DNA and all this stuff science has discovered. That proves God. And it's like, no, that looks like a bunch of natural stuff they discovered. They don't find anything supernatural. And again, if I have superpowers, I don't have to make DNA or cells or bones or anything. I can just write it like a video game. This being walks around. It doesn't have to have anything inside of it. If it's all just made up by something, whether it's a God or a universal mind, if it's all made up, for me, it doesn't make any sense that we have anything inside. It seems unnecessary. You know what I mean? If it's just all like a determined video game with some kind of, if it's his universal consciousness or if it's a God that's directing everything, then it just seems like, like this picture you got up. There's no need for anything inside any of that, If it's just something we're running in our mind or something, there's no need for those characters to have, organs or a skeleton or anything or blood or anything. It doesn't make any sense from that so-called worldview.
Yeah, and why, like how Top Dog says, you don't have to eat or drink or anything. You don't have to, but the world mind imagines it, so that therefore you have to, because the world mind is in charge. He's just creating another kind of a god, kind of a weird one. But anyway, I wanted to point out, I got this picture of my surgeon's training to do gallbladder surgery. And what they do is they dress you up in a clown suit and they hoist you off the table. They stab you 4 times with a 1-inch knife, and then they beat you. They beat you like a piñata until your gallbladder falls out. That's what they did to me. I figured that out after the surgery. So
we're just piñatas to the medical
right industry. Yeah, but I got that picture of their of them when they were in training to do surgery. So thought that would be interesting. Anyway,
Thank you for that.
You also said though that you would like to have him on and talk to him as well, right, Mike?
Kastrup?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. And, I've said enough nasty stuff about him that he would be pretty hostile. But I would like to talk to him about, okay, we got a cube in the corner of the room. And there are 3 of us. And we're looking at the cube. Now, fucking explain this to me. Tell me what you think. Why you think that the universal consciousness would have an infinite amount of experiences of that cube all at once. And, that would represent anybody that came into the room, because somebody might walk in the door. And I don't think he believes in time either. He doesn't believe in space. I don't think he believes in time. So, I mean, if somebody walks in the door, now we have 4 people looking at the cube. The universal mind has to have all that perspective of the cube, the infinite amount of ways of looking at the cube. He's doing it all at once. So he's doing it. And that kind of goes to coherentism, because the reason that I believe that cubes, square things exist and matter exists is because I have a potential infinite number of ways that I can interact with it and measure it and figure out where it is and touch it and feel it and, all that. I mean, that is coherentism. So he has a form of coherentism, except he says it's all mind stuff. What the fuck does that mean? Like, what is the reality of having to go pee? What is the mind stuff of having to go pee?
And all kidding aside, didn't you also want to mention that not only do we just make some humorous jabs at people like Ken Ham, but that you do have some serious takes on atheism, right, Mike?
Yes, yeah, answers in atheism. I have actual answers for us in atheism. If you look at naturalism and you extend it, okay, you realize that you are a little glob of protoplasm, a really cool blob of protoplasm that can do all sorts of wonderful things and interact with the world and the people around you. And you're a tribal kind of thing, and you have, you love things, you feel things, you see things. You have all of this in your life, and you're only here for a brief, roughly 30,000 days. And I'm at 26,658 today. And when you realize what we're doing, and that, okay, we have this serious meaning in our lives, but every now and then you have to step outside yourself and say, you know what? It's kind of funny. The whole fucking thing is kind of hilarious. And I'm going to be here for 30,000 days, and then other people are going to be born and grow up like I did, and they're going to take up the torch, and all of us together we're all kind of in this little journey together, and we're flitting in and out of existence. And it's okay if you flit out of existence, and it's okay that you flitted into existence. And when you look at the whole thing from that Buddhist perspective, that there is no real self, that it's more of an illusion, you start to be able to get into the meaning of life more seriously, and also at the same time hilariously, because you can stand back and laugh at your fucking life. It's like, oh shit, I got cancer. That's funny as hell. I thought that was funny when I had kidney cancer. It was humorous.
Deconverter Man just contacted me about talking about the meaning of life. So
yeah.
That may be upcoming.
And the thing is that we are the kind of creature that takes meaning very seriously, and we take our social contacts, our love for each other, very, very seriously. And we are really neat little blobs of protoplasm. I mean, so just fucking enjoy it. You are this thing flitting through life for 30,000 days and then flitting out. Have a goddamn good time and take care of each other. So, I mean, those are the kinds of extensions of naturalism that I would call answers in atheism. And, it ain't so fucking serious that you're going to burn in hell forever or last forever. It's not serious, but at the same time, you are this bit of protoplasm, and there are some things you can take very seriously, like caring about each other and taking care of each other. And why in the fuck would you ever want to hurt somebody? Why would you ever want to shorten somebody else's time on this earth? We aren't that kind of thing. That's where we get our values, when we realize what's really going on here. I mean, I'd sooner shake a guy's hand than shoot him, right? I don't know.
Well, you answered Ken Ham's big argument all the time.
What's that?
Why even do anything, or why even try, or why even care if you don't believe? It's like, well, you can still care that, your kids can drink the water and stuff when you're gone. Well, that has nothing to do with what you believe at all. That's just, hey, it might be a good thing that we have clean drinking water for my kid to drink. That's just.
Well, the reason we care is because Homo sapiens are caring kind of things. It's the nature of what we are. We care. We have meaning. We have quality. We have qualities. That's what we are. Accept it. That's what biology tells us we are.
We also have the quality, at least some of us, of wanting to control all the power and the goods and things, which is why, religion was invented to, or at least it was taken over by greedy, controlling people who want you to spend money, time, effort in them.
Yeah, there are ways to break that down too. This greedy materialism, where I want to get all the stuff for myself because myself is so important. Well, no, in the cosmic scheme of things, you're just a little spot of goo on a dust particle, in a very, very small dust particle. Don't take yourself so fucking seriously, and it's okay if you don't get the stuff. It's okay if you stub your toe. It's not the end of the fucking world if you feel some pain or you have some challenges in your life, right? But it's just, there's like two perspectives, the perspective that makes us small, and then we draw into ourselves and we become as wide as the sky with meaning and poetry and what we can do and what we can create and how we can interact. And at the end of the day, the poetry is so much more important than a dollar bill. The wide sky, right? As wide as the sky. Our minds are.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I can enjoy the view, like the picture behind me of the night sky, and so can a religious person. There's no difference in enjoying. Now, you may think it's the work of God, and I just see stars. But it's still awe-inspiring. I'm in awe. Ever since I was a kid, I've loved science, and every time something comes out, I'm like, wow, that's really neat. They find all these things out. And even if it's finding things out about how your God made the universe, how does that make it any less, wonderful or anything? And that's why I really have a problem with people that badmouth scientists.
Yeah,
they're not bad guys. They're just finding out things.
When I was a kid, I used to spend a lot of time in the woods. In fact, I'd sneak out of bed at 3 a.m. and I'd go crawl around in the woods at night, and pretend I was an animal, look at the stars.
I find that hard to believe.
No, I really did. I really did. I would crawl around in the woods so that I could experience being an animal when I was like fucking 9 years old. I mean, I'd sneak out of the house and crawl through the swamp. I had a swamp I loved. But anyway, as I learned science and I started learning science, all of a sudden each plant had a name. And I thought, oh my God, it has this like really weird Greek name. So I started seeing every plant individually. And then as I progressed in life and started learning molecular biology and chemistry, I saw even deeper into the leaf, and the plants became more and more, they became wider and wider in my mind. And now when I look at an oak tree, I can see the chloroplasts and the fucking, all the cell membranes and the cell walls and all the fluids pumping around in that thing. And I mean, it has more meaning to me now that I know more about it, right? And it's wider and wider. And yet I can still see it as an oak tree, just flat on, and just enjoy how goddamn beautiful it is.
Sadhguru talks about that, about being enlightened. That he can just get lost in wondering about a glass of water.
Yeah.
Because you just don't see the water. You see everything that the water is and was.
Yeah, it's history. That's the other thing, is the history of things. The history.
Did a dinosaur drink that water?
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. Anyway, wider than the sky. Pretty cool. I kind of want to shoot her in the head. Can you guys hear that in my voice as I drift? You know, I get that shooter in the head feeling.
I can tell that you're a little give out, you know, spent.
Yeah.
Mike always gets that feeling about the 1 hour mark.
Yeah, the 1 hour marker. Yeah, we've got over an hour. So this is a nice short one. So
yeah, I was just you were saying you wanted to mention something about what your plans are for the year, and that Mike didn't like what I said about his name being Answers in Atheism.
No, I like that because
it was just poking fun at Ken Ham.
No, I did.
I didn't mean it that way, but
I did get it from Answers in Genesis, but then, you know, Answers in Atheism has a meaning to me, because I think naturalism and atheism is the way to live your life to the fullest.
Mike does a lot more than just talk about Ken Ham.
Yeah, and the reason I'm going after Bernardo Kastrup is apparently people like it because I've been getting a lot of views, and I am really serious about this consciousness thing, and I'm so surprised that there's all these parallels between these intellectual dualists and, you know, panpsychists and whatever, and creationism, and they say the same fucking thing about science. They all want to say, oh, we're so deluded, you know. We just believe in this stuff because our professors and teachers told us to. It's like, fuck you. No, it makes sense.
All the views might be like just the rest of us. Maybe they're trying to, hey, maybe this guy's got it figured out what he's trying to say.
Yeah, it sounds like a conspiracy theory patterned after young Earth creationism and their approach.
It is. It's
like anti-expert, anti-reality, anti-science.
You need to tell all these viewers that are watching, if anybody's got a clue about what he's trying to say, to let you know, and come on and explain it to us, because we're trying to figure it out. So.
Yeah. Now, have you already mentioned, I see it's in the description, but have you already mentioned Dr. Matt McCormick's Philosophy of Mind course on YouTube?
You mean like this? Like this? Like that?
Yeah, exactly like that. It's he puts on some great lectures there.
Yep.
Dealing with physicalism and philosophy of mind.
Yeah,
you'll find it well worth your time. All installments of it.
Yeah, he talks about introspection and unreliability of introspection, and he goes into functionalism, connectionism, eliminated materialism, on and on and on for 34. Dahane and Nakash, I think it is, global workspace theory.
Is this my homework here?
Yep. Well, you know, I thought if nothing else, we could start going through some of these videos and just highlight them and try to spend 15 minutes on each one for the people that don't want to spend 34 hours, or in my case, I've spent about 70 hours on it because I go and look at all the papers and all that stuff too. But that is in the description. This is the best. Oh, okay, and Matt is obviously a physicalist because he will listen to their arguments like Chalmers, the hard problem, and then he'll shoot it down. But he does it. He steelmans their position very well, and he does the best he can. So it's really, really a good course. I don't know who the hell this guy is, but I like him. So he's pretty good. Anyway, so there's that. Can we get out of here now? What do I got to pay to get out of here, Scott?
You can cash at me $40.
Okay, you got it. You got it. Okay. Pretty cheap today. Last time you charged me 110. I was pretty pissed. Anyway. Okay, we're going to shoot in the head, guys.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm sorry I had to arrive late, but I'm glad I was able to get here.
The late
again, happy New Year to everybody, and best to everyone for the new year to come.
Happy New Year, and I'm going to try to read chats more seriously. That's my New Year's resolution, and I'm sure it will last all of 3 days like every other fucking New Year's resolution. So goodbye, cruel world.